sa manu nei, mā tui a I runga, tui a I raro, tui a I roto, tui a I wa, tui a I te here tangata, karongo topo, karongo tao, tui a I te muka takata, I Hawaii ki nui, Hawaii ki ro, Hawaii ki pamama, ki te whae ao, ki te ao marama, ki te hono wairua, uhi, weru, haramai te toki, haumi e, hui e, kai e. We listen to the bird as it calls. It binds us above, unites us below, and meshes us together outside and in. As we move forward, we think of the distant past, the ancient lands, your lands, our lands. We pray for peace and unity as we go forward. That's the kaupapa of that tauparapara. Nō ka nui te kō tāku nākau e tuana ki mihi atu ki a koutou katoa. Koutou o ngā kai kauni hera. Ko tēnei mihi atu ki a koutou katoa. Koutou, ko haere mai anō hoki ki ona tūru, me koutou ngā kai kauni hera hau. Ka mihi atu ki a koutou katoa, mai tātou o te mana whenua ki a koutou katoa. I āwhina, koutou e roto ona mahi. Koutou o te tangata whenua, koutou o te tangata tiriti, koutou no te moana nui a kiwa. Koutou katoa. Ko tēnei mihi miharo ki a koutou, ko tēnei rā whakahirihira, hei pakatau koutou e roto te kaupapa. He āwhina, te hāpori, o te poti, i ngā mahi anga whakamua, e tautoko ana koutou e roto tēnā mai. So, on behalf of the mana whenua, we welcome the councillors, new and returning to your work, to the beginning of this term. Those of you who have tangata whenua ancestry, the mayor, of course, Moana Nui Pacifica, and of course our tangata tiriti brethren. To your one and all, hākui, hākoro, tai atu ki ngā tamariki mokopuna, ngā mihi miharo, koutou ki roto tēnei rā whakahere. So we bid you all the best as we launch this waka. And on a 3-year journey, that it successfully reaches its destination, and we all celebrate at the end of 3 years. Ngā mihi miharo ki a koutou katoa. Ka hākore, he muri rā, whānau tautoko, e rā rōpū, koutou o ngā karangatanga maha, no tēnā, no tēnā, no tēnā. Hākui, hākoro, tai atu, ki ngā tamariki mokopona. Tēnā rā koutou katoa. So all together who are here, friends, whānau, supporters from various walks of life, groups, interested of course in the future of our city, ngā mihi, ki a koutou nau mai, haere mai, whakatau mai. Ko tēnei te wā ka tika ka huri ki a rātou, kua ngaro, o rātou kua hinga atu, kua hinga mai, o rātou ngā mati huho o te motu, haere atu rā, haere ki tua te ārai, ki te kaipa tūturu, ki te whetūrangi tia, haere moi mai, o whiuki mai. So it is always important to remember those who have passed, in the recent and distant, of yours, of ours. Across the land, we bid them farewell. Sleep the long sleep. Ka huri anō ki te kaupapa o te rānei, e rā whakanui te kaupapa mō te hāpuri o te puti, e uru waka tēnei waka. Nō re, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, kia ora koutou.
Para
Tēnā kōrua e maumahana tātou nei tautoko mō kōrua I roto tēnā tōna mai. Tēnā kōrua. Koutou katoa, āpiti hono, tātai hono, te hongumati ki te hongumati tātou, te hongumati ki tātou. Kia ora tātou.
Ena mana, ena reo, e reo rangatio mā, tēnā koutou. E mihi, tuatahi, ki a mana e whenua, I whakatau mai e tēnei hui. E te mihi rā atu, ki a katoa. Katoa nā iwi, kau tēnei whenua. Nā hau e whā, tēnei koutou katoa. Katoa katoa, kua tai mai nei, e tēnei rā, tēnei katoa. Ko ngā pui, toko iwi, ko Jules Reddick, toko ingoa. Nō rewa, tēnā katoa, tēnā koutou katoa. To those gathered here today, I greet you all. Firstly, I would like to acknowledge Mana Whenua for opening this inaugural meeting as Mana Whenua of this land. I greet you and thank you on behalf of the new council. To all iwi of this whenua, to all people from the Four Winds and the people of Dunedin, I acknowledge everyone who is here today. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Huri anei, e te hau, horoia, horoia, e te ua. Whiti, whitia, e te rā. Mahere,
Greetings to you all. Before we get on to the formal part of the meeting, I need to do the bureaucratic thing and give a quick health and safety induction, or otherwise I'll be in trouble with the venue owners. In the event of a fire and the alarm sounds, you need to evacuate the building by your nearest exits. Do not re-enter the building until the head warden gives the clearance, and you should assemble in the Harrop Street car park. In the event of an earthquake, don't leave the building, take shelter under a solid piece of furniture and take notice of any advice that staff provide. If you need to go to the toilet, go out the doors at the back and someone will show you where to go, and smoking is prohibited at this meeting. So with that out of the road, I'd like to invite Mr. Mayor up to the table to do your declaration.
I, Jules Vincent Raddick, declare that I will faithfully and impartially, and according to the best of my skill and judgment, execute and perform, in the best interests of the City of Dunedin, the powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as Mayor of Dunedin City Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987, or any other act.
Mr. Mayor, you have been elected as the Mayor of the City of Dunedin. It is now my privilege and pleasure to invest you with the insignia of your office. I first call attention to the meaning of the word Mayor. It is simply the anglicised form of the Latin word major, meaning great. You may therefore consider yourself as the city's first citizen elected by the people of Dunedin. The office of Mayor dates back to the Middle Ages in Britain, and was then, and is now, regarded as the highest honour a city can bestow on one of its citizens. The robes of office. These are a visible symbol of the office. In Dunedin, an essential part of the mayoral tradition is wearing the robes of office and the use of regalia. The robes are not intended to glorify the individual, rather they are a uniform of office, worn in respect and honour of the people who you serve. The wearing of the robes and the chain of office play an effective part in ensuring that the functions of office, both business and ceremonial, are conducted with dignity, credit to the council and honour to your community. The robe, which I now invest you in, is the outward and visible sign of the distinction, favour and authority which Dunedin citizens have conferred upon you by electing you as their Mayor. Now, the chain of office and the medallion has great significance. The original Dunedin City Mayoral chain portrays the city, crest in gold and enamel, and was the gift of the Chamber of Commerce in 1909. The links were purchased by previous mayors and are so inscribed. Each subsequent mayor to the present time has donated a link. The taonga, Mana Whakahono, was gifted to the city in 2019 by Mana Whenua and was carved to represent leadership and guidance for Mana Whenua and Council as they work together. The Mana Whakahono is joined to the mayoral chains to symbolise the partnership between Mana Whenua and Council. Because you're so tall. So this chain is to remind you that you're also a servant of the people, and it will be your duty at all times to serve them to the utmost of your power and ability. The chain is made of gold and pounamu, the most precious of materials. The chain is a taonga and must be guarded with care. In like manner, you are also to guard and defend the trust and confidence which your citizens have placed in you. Right. So the hat, which you're not to wear inside, I place before you is made to point both ways, forwards and backwards. This is to remind you that while you look forward to the future, you are also to profit from the experience which comes from looking to the past. The hat outside is to be worn above the eyes and is made so that the sides point upward, being slashed on one side with a golden stripe. Gloves, which I place on the hat, signify cleanliness. It will be your duty to preserve the traditions of your office and to uphold with dignity and the good name and reputation of Dunedin City, and when your term of office expires, to hand over to your successor the affairs of the city in unsullied condition. I now formally install you into the chair as the Mayor of the city and wish you a very successful term in office.
Thank you. So now my first duty is to declare my deputy chair, Sophie, and I just would like to see where that is. Yes. So I now invite councillors to make their declarations as required under Schedule 7, Clause 14 of the Local Government Act 2002, which I referred to earlier, beginning with Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sophie Barker. So I have, we'll take her declaration and I will present her with the chains.
I, Sophie Elizabeth Barker, declare that I will faithfully and impartially, and according to the best of my skill and judgment, execute and perform in the best interests of the City of Dunedin the powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as a member of the Dunedin City Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987 or any other act.
Chains. Here we go. Great. Yes. So I now invite Councillor William Robert Eklund to come forward. Stand aside.
I, William Robert Ackland, declare that I will faithfully and impartially, and according to the best of my skill and judgment, execute and perform in the best interests of the City of Dunedin the powers, authorities and duties vested in me or imposed upon me as a member of the Dunedin City Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987 or any other act.
Pen. David Benson-Pope.
Thank you.
I, David Henry Benson-Pope, declare that I will faithfully and impartially, and according to the best of my skill and judgment, execute and perform in the best interests of the City of Dunedin the powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as a member of the Dunedin City Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987, or any other act.
Thank you. As you can tell, we are proceeding in alphabetical order. Next we have Christine Gary.
Ko hau, ko Christine Peter Gary, e o atu ana ka whaia hau I te pono me te tōkiki I runga hoki te mutanga kei mai nei, o aku pūkenga, o aku whakatauhoki ki a whakatutuki ki a mahi anō hoki I ta mana whakahaere, ta mana whakatau, me na momo mahi kua uhia ki runga I o. Ki a whiwhi paianga mo te takiwaia o Otapoti, hei kai kanahiri o te kainahiri arohi o Otapoti, e ai hoki ki ta ture ka wanatanga e taio, e rua mano marua, ki te ture ki wanatanga a taio, whakapai me ta hui, kotahi manu I wairo, weru tako ma fitu, me I tahi ture ano rane.
Next we have Kevin Gilbert.
I, Kevin Michael Gilbert, declare that I will faithfully and impartially and according to the best of my skill and judgment execute and perform in the best interests of the City of Dunedin the powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as a member of the Dunedin City Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987 or any other act.
I, Cherry Ruth Henderson, declare that I will faithfully and impartially, and according to the best of my skill and judgment, execute and perform in the best interest of the City of Dunedin the powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as a member of the Dunedin City Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information Act, Information and Meetings Act 1987 or any other act.
Welcome aboard. Next we have Carmen Hulan.
I, Carmen Veronica Houlihan, declare that I will faithfully and impartially, and according to the best of my skill and judgment, execute and perform in the best interests of the City of Dunedin the powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as a member of the Dunedin City Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987, or any other act.
Now we have Marie Lafiso.
Ko hau, ko Marie, e wo tia lau whiso, e o ati ana ka whai ahau I te pono me te tōkeke, I ruka hoki I te mutuka ke mai nei o aku pūkenga o aku whakatau hoki kia whakatutuki, kia mahi anō hoki I te mana whakahaere, te mana whakatau e ka momo, mahi kua uhia, ki runga ia au kia whiwhi painga mō te takewa o Otipoti, hei kai kaunihera o te kaunihera rohe o Otipoti, e ai hoki ki te ture kāwanatanga a tai au. E rua mano marua ki te ture kāwanatanga a tai au whakapai me te hui, kotahi mano e iwarau e waru te kau mā whitu, me e tahi ture anō rānei.
Now we have Amanda Mayhem.
I, Amanda Elizabeth Olympia Mayhem Bullock, declare that I will faithfully and impartially and according to the best of my skill and judgment execute and perform in the best interests of the City of Dunedin and the powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as a member of the Dunedin City Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002 and the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987 or any other act.
Welcome aboard. Now we have Jim O'Malley.
Ko aho, ko James Paul O'Malley, I oti ana ka whai ahau I te pono me te tokeki. I ranga hoki I te mutanga kei mai nai I ako pukenga, I ako whakatau, ko hoki kia whakatokiki. Kia mahi ana hoki I te mana whakahaere. Te mana whakatau me ngā momo mahi a kua uhuia ki runga I aoia ki whiwhi paanga mō te takawa o Otipoti. Hai kai kanihere o te kanihere a rohe o Otipoti. I ai hoki ki te ture kawanangatanga a ture, e rua mana marua, ki te ture kawanangatanga a tau whakapai mai te hui, ko tahi mano I iwarua I waro tukau ma whitu, me I tahi ture anu rane. Hang on. Need handshake.
Yes. Welcome. Next we have Lee Vandevers.
I, Lee Vandevers, declare that I will faithfully and impartially, and according to the best of my skill and judgment, execute and perform in the best interests of the City of Dunedin the powers, authorities and duties vested and imposed upon me as a member of the Dunedin City Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987, or any other act.
Welcome aboard. Next we have Steve Walker.
I, Stephen Allen Walker, declare that I will faithfully and impartially and according to the best of my skill and judgment execute and perform in the best interests of the City of Dunedin the powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as a member of the Dunedin City Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987, or any other act.
Welcome aboard. Next we have Brent Wetherall.
I, Brent Keith Wetherall, declare that I will faithfully and impartially and according to the best of my skill and judgment execute and perform in the best interests of the City of Dunedin the powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as a member of the Dunedin City Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information Act, Meetings Act 1987, or any other act.
Welcome aboard. And next we have Andrew Wiley.
I, Andrew Peter Wiley, declare that I will faithfully and impartially and according to the best of my skill and judgment execute and perform in the best interests of the City of Dunedin the powers, authorities and duties invested in or imposed upon me as a member of the Dunedin City Council by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987, or any other act.
So, a couple of quick words of welcome before we get underway. Just to each and every one of you here today, friends, neighbours and relatives, greetings and thank you for coming. And you and a great many residents of Dunedin have honoured us with your votes to elect us as your representatives. So we in turn will work faithfully on your behalf to do our very best for the wonderful City of Dunedin and all who live here. Thank you. Kia ora. So, looking to the agenda of this meeting, we now are in the public meeting of the Council. We'll now move to the first item on that agenda. Just got a range of paperwork here. This is item 5, the reports. as per the agenda, item 5, which is the acknowledgement of retiring councillors, which is on page 8 of your agenda if you have one in front of you, if you have one on your computer in front of you, or possibly a cell phone with access to the council website where the agenda is held. So this is an opportunity for the council to give thanks for the service given by Aaron Hawkins and Rachel Elder for their terms in office. I'm going to draw your attention to those resolutions, and I'm going to take the resolutions separately, beginning with Aaron Hawkins. And I move that the council records its sincere thanks to Aaron Hawkins for the loyal and conscientious service he has given to the Dunedin community as councillor for the 6 years from 2013 to 2019, and as mayor for the 3 years from 2019 to 2022. Do I have a seconder? Thank you. Deputy Mayor Barker. I would like to say a few words about Aaron. If I've got a bunch of bits of paper here, but look, I would like to be very brief, but I'd like to publicly thank Aaron for his efforts, and on behalf of the city and its inhabitants. It's easy to think only of his time as mayor, but Aaron served 2 terms on council prior to that, so a total of 9 years of devotion to Dunedin. After just 2 weeks in the role, I have a much keener awareness of the time and effort required as mayor, and I reflect on the difficulty of balancing this role that I am doing now with the needs of a young family. Not an easy task for him at all. His focus was strongly for the social and environmental well-being of Dunedin, and he worked very hard at it. From the complexity and intellectual rigour of writing the 2GP to the social benefits of providing exercise and entertainment for youth with half basketball courts throughout the city, he left us with a lasting legacy. So I thank you, Aaron. I, for one, will miss his magnificent oratory skills and wry sense of humour. All the best for your next steps in your journey. Ngā mihi. I now invite any other councillors who would like to speak to the motion. Thank you. Councillor Gary.
I was honoured to serve alongside Mayor Hawkins as Deputy Mayor during the past triennium, and it was a joy to get to know his family during that time, including his now 6, nearly 7-year-old son, Emil. This is for you, Emil. I want you to know that you have every reason to be super proud of your dad, the person he is, and all that he achieved during his time as mayor. Soon after Aaron was elected as mayor of the city, there was a global pandemic, pretty much the first time since 1918, unless you count the tragic polio epidemic of the 1950s. But this pandemic was like nothing experienced in recent history. There was certainly no rulebook for how to lead the city as mayor in a global pandemic, and it certainly wasn't the triennium we thought it would be. However, Aaron led with great courage and compassion, always mindful of those who were struggling and most vulnerable. He understood it was time to think outside the square, and he knew it was vital to ensure investment in the city, public and private, to ensure a positive future for everyone. You only have to look around the city at the cranes and development going on to see that was achieved. He ensured the groundwork was set to address climate change. He often reminded us, and some of us needed reminding more often than others, of what is at stake. And he always had your future and the world you would inherit in mind. The sadness is he's not part of the team to continue that important work, so we have to ensure we carry it out in his stead. He committed to a deepening relationship with mana whenua. He did this with great respect. I well remember his speech at Waitangi Day 2020 at Otako, a moving speech delivered with great skill. I have an image of you sitting on his knee during the Pōwhiri, silhouetted against Tamatea. He brought you to the opening of the broad-based section of the Peninsula Connection with your trike, and when you were a bit restless, he lifted you into his arms while he delivered his speech as eloquently as ever. or the time he started the grants subcommittee meeting with you on his lap, as he had to start the meeting within the necessary time frame and then adjourn it briefly so he could sort out a wee hiccup with childcare arrangements. Whenever he presided at a citizenship ceremony, the latest one just a couple of weeks ago, he always made everyone feel very welcome and put the parents of young children at ease. They often told me how much they appreciated his warm, genuinely family-friendly approach and how special the occasion had been. During the previous triennium, Mayor Cull entrusted Aaron with chairing the Mayor's Task Force for Housing, and in his role as Mayor, he continued to work to support that work with the goal of increasing the stock of social housing in our city and warm, dry homes. We're on the way to achieving that. I'm sure you're very familiar with the playgrounds in the city. Well, upgrades to playgrounds happened on his watch too, and right now consultation is open with the idea of a destination playground or playgrounds, which is a continuation of that work. One big project during his time as Mayor was the work staff carried out with his support towards the FIFA Women's World Cup 2023. That work spanned the whole triennium, as I understand it, and it is culminating first with the draw this past Saturday and the big event early next year. With his love of football, I know he'll be there enjoying the games, and I'm sure he'll take you with him, as I know you play football. For the city, the event will be huge, like we've never seen, and it will bring economic benefits galore to Dunedin. The arts were always a passion for Aaron, and his work to get the art and infrastructure policy through in the previous triennium paid off for the city. He also successfully advocated for resources to be put forward towards a live music plan, and this will come to fruition early next year. He has consistently advocated and worked to support creatives in the city in a variety of ways during his time at council. His leadership around making the city more livable features that attract people to live, work, study, visit and invest in this city are numerous, but most visible currently is the George Street project. He was ever mindful of the accessibility needs of those with disability in such projects, and I thank him for that, a subject dear to my heart. None of this was possible without the backing of colleagues and the work of staff to carry out council decisions. He always ensured staff were treated with respect in meetings. Aaron is an RMA commissioner. He used his considerable skills to chair hearings, and he was involved in the extensive 2GP process. For a number of years, Dunedin has been fortunate to have advocacy at a national level through Mayor Cull as President of Local Government New Zealand. Aaron first made his mark with the young elected members, then latterly on National Council and in the Metro Group. It has allowed Dunedin advocacy at a national level at that time. He also forged a strong rapport with Southern mayors who held him in high regard. He did much working behind the scenes to great effect. There is so much more to tell you, Emil, but I want to spend some time telling you about the qualities your dad has that I have seen shine through his time as Mayor of this city. When I speak of Aaron's compassion, I think of a few days after the death of a dear friend of mine. It was the first debate of the election campaign 3 years ago. We were rivals, and yet when Aaron learnt I'd just come from organising my friend's funeral, he was so very kind. I remember too, during a family emergency back in Dunedin, when I was away at conference with him, his immediate response, "Family comes first, Chris, you do whatever you need to do." That compassionate, empathetic side was evident in his public life too, always mindful of those struggling in our city, those without a voice at the table, or those often excluded or marginalised in our society. But your dad could be very funny, a real sense of fun and always a sharp wit. Maybe he'll be freer to express that now. He also had a healthy dose of humility and doesn't take himself too seriously, all qualities that contribute to his resilience, I think, and he sure needed that in these challenging times post-COVID. Your dad is super smart, and I'm sure you are smart too, Emil. He used that for the good, to think ahead, to consider the big picture as a governor of the city, as a leader of the city, and to use his influence for positive outcomes. He's a clear thinker with a vision for the future. It was never about him, never about popularity. It was always with a view to future generations. With great respect to mana whenua, I quote a kaitahu whakatauki, which I think reflects Aaron's approach. Mō tātou a mō ka uri a muri ake nei for us and our children after us. Your dad is an amazing speaker, so eloquent, and his turn of phrase truly is something to behold. He always carried out his mayoral duties with great dignity, upholding the mana of the office of mayor. I always felt proud to stand alongside him, and no more so than at the very solemn occasion recently of the proclamation of the Queen's death and then the ascension of the King, our last duty together. I will always be proud to have served alongside your dad, Emile. He was not only a great mayor of the city, as history will confirm, I believe, but he is a man of integrity, a man who wanted to do the very best for this city and did. Be very proud of your dad. He did all this for you and your generation and beyond. He is a good man with a big heart. And to Mayoress Anya, thank you for all you did in service to our city, through your support of Aaron, your extraordinary resilience and your sacrifice. We are so grateful. Finally, I salute you, Aaron Hawkins, Mayor of Utapoti, Dunedin, 2019 to 2022. I am proud to have been your deputy, your colleague, to have served with you in the extraordinary times we did, and to have achieved what we did for our wonderful city under your leadership. I am proud to be your friend. May your next adventure be an excellent one. Salud, amor y pestos. I tiempo para castrolas. May you have health, love, and wealth, and time to spend them.
Councillor Steve Walker.
Thank you, Councillor Gary. They were extremely moving words, and I thank you for them. Fortunately, my scribble notes are far less together than yours, but I did want to say a few things. Aaron has been, for a long time, a friend, and over the years has become a very, very good friend to me, actually. So there's not much I can say here that I haven't said to him in private over the years, and of course in recent weeks. Although I do say having one less Tottenham Hotspur supporter around the table is not a bad thing for a West Ham supporter. Aaron, as we all know, whether you agree with his politics or not, is a smart guy. He's also a very, very conscientious person who loves to dot the I's and cross the T's. And often during his tenure as the mayor, I would be mailing him at 2 in the morning and he'd be up, and I'd mail him again at 5:30 a.m. and he'd just be getting up. So Jules, take note, don't do that so much. Aaron also had a complete understanding of those important elements of being a mayor, and those elements are things like the LGA 2002, the RMA, standing orders, etc. And I don't think anybody knows those documents better. And I guess that's probably a message to all of us. If you look outside, the city is thriving. It's in a far better environmental space than it's probably been for a long time. Could get better. And the relationship with Mana Whenua is probably at a spot we want it to be, but we shouldn't be taking our foot off the pedal in that one. And I think that's all thanks to not only Aaron, but the previous Mayor Cull. And I just wanted to say this, I don't want to put a dampener on things, but I just hope that a lot of the online abuse that Aaron took during his time in office and during the campaign, and the offline abuse, is not a feature of this. And I hope that doesn't accrue to any of us here, because I don't think we deserve it. We put our hands up to serve the city. And you might not agree with our politics, but I don't think we need to be abused. So, Jules, my hope is that you are not a recipient of some of the things the previous mayor had to go through. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Councillor Fiso.
Tēnā koe, Your Worship. Tēnā koe, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the opportunity. I just want to acknowledge, as Councillors Gary and Councillor Walker have acknowledged, Aaron, and more to just acknowledge how great a teacher he was, for me, a newbie councillor in 2016. And as I've always said, I am an activist. I am not a politician. But for me, Aaron was a consummate politician, understanding the issues, understanding the risks, understanding strategy. And I just want to acknowledge him on a very personal level for that. And he didn't teach in such a, instructive way. He didn't actually say, hey, you need to do this. He just, I learned from the example that he set. And I just want to acknowledge Anya and Emil and acknowledge that Anya said, I have my husband back on the day of the results. So there's so much more that I can say, but I think Councillors Gary and Walker have said it all. And I just want to acknowledge very much the social justice and environmental imperatives that have already been mentioned that drove Aaron in his roles as councillor and as mayor, as has already been canvassed, for his children and Emil's and whoever else, great grandchildren. And sometimes he used to make fun of my reference to 7 generations thinking, but he got it, and I think that's what he was thinking, far ahead. So I just want to end with a little song that acknowledges the journey and says in Tokalau Tuvaluan, I offer this song to you to help you on your journey, and it's Tō Koe, and it's just acknowledging you, Aaron. Thank you so much. Tō Koe, Tō Koe, taku pele, taku wha pele pele, ai sei langi atu, la pese, e whangu ia koe, tō whakoe, tō whakoe, taku pele, taku wha pele pele, ai sei langi atu, la pele, e whangu ia koe, tō whakoe, tō whakoe, taku pele, taku wha pele pele, hai se langi atu, la pese, e whangu ia koe, tō whakoe, tō whakoe.
Councillor Benson Pope.
Tēnā koe, Mr Mayor. I also grew to regard Aaron as a close friend. I worked with him during some of those earlier terms on council and subsequently, and we've heard about his skills. We've heard about his excellent chairmanship skills under severe duress at times, colleagues, as we know, and we know about the wonderful sense of humour that he has. No one's mentioned the political nous he displayed during the campaigns to have the law courts remain where it was and refurbished, or indeed the still contested issue about the superb location for our new hospital downtown in downtown Dunedin. He was a leader of both those campaigns, and that political expertise was also demonstrated in the sort of comments he made quite recently around yet another scuttlebutt story about hospital downsizing, which obviously has been taken to heart by the minister concerned in the last few days. People have talked about his intellect, and his hard work and his excellent chairmanship. The thing that struck me most profoundly about him, though, was his background and knowledge of policy. Not only our policy, whatever had been decided historically by colleagues present and past, but also the reason and the grounding in the reasons for those policy positions that the city had taken. And similarly, an extraordinarily deep understanding of central government policy, which was always to our advantage. The other thing that we'd all agree about Aaron is, I'm sure, that he was always future-focused. Whether it was about local issues or international or national issues, he always kept us firmly on track about the implications of wider international and national policy for our city and our residents, particularly in regard to climate issues, as has already been mentioned. I think his greatest achievement, though, and it's a bit of a hidden one really, it's been alluded to by two previous speakers, but really relates to the endless hours of work putting together, amongst all the documents that we have and all the strategies and plans we have, the single most important document is our district plan, what we've most recently come to call the 2GP, the second generation plan. We were the first city to process our second generation plan under the RMA, and I know from my personal experience the hours that went into that and the incredible value that Councillor Hawkins brought to that process. The district plan is the roadmap for how our city grows. The district plan and the rules in it are what make good use, best use of our land and other resources, and make sure that the goals that we have to make the city even more pleasant, even more livable, even more attractive to our own people and to visitors, they are what is controlled by the district plan. And most of that work was invisible, and we take for granted what the planners now use to base their judgments when people apply to do this, that and the other. But Aaron Hawkins was one of the key movers, one of the key intellects in the development of the rules that are going to see us safely into the future. I don't think there's any doubt that many of us will miss him and his skills in this community, but I'm really happy that his leadership leaves us so well placed to face the future. It's a challenge for all of us to make sure that that is further fostered and developed, but we are nonetheless, as a city and individuals, a lot poorer for the loss of his skills.
Are there any further speakers? No. Okay, so I don't intend to exercise the right of reply, so I will now put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Any against? Carried. Thank you. I'd now like to record the council thanks for the services given by Rachel Elder for her term in office and invite her to the table to speak to her term in office. And
you might find it hard to get me away from here.
Call security.
It's hard to be giving this speech today. I look around the room and I see many friends and many colleagues here. When I got the call, I gave myself 2 weeks in which I was allowed to rant and rage, and yes, even swear as part of my therapy. I will not swear today. I have given everything to the role of City Councillor over the past 6 years, and I have found it all-consuming. I have loved it, and I have hated it. I have found it frustrating and rewarding, deeply rewarding, In fact, it sounds like an Lana Morissette song, One Hand in My Pocket. I'm green, but I'm wise. I'm brave, but I'm chicken shit. I have memories of botching an annual plan vote in my early years and being very upset about it. And in my one-on-one meeting with Dave Cull, him saying, don't worry, I'll sort it out. And that we all make mistakes, and that was a minor one. So don't be so hard on yourself. So to those who are new to the game, take heart. You will make mistakes and not get things quite right, but that is part of the learning process. That sometimes it will be scary, but you need to say something anyway. That you may be green to the job, but you bring a lot of wisdom and knowledge with you too. For me, the biggest reward has been advocating for the community and assisting a wide range of communities to advocate for themselves, speaking at public forums, writing submissions, lobbying, etc. And this is something Council has taught me, for which I am extremely grateful. This also means you have not heard the last of me yet. It will just be from the other side of the table. As they say, hasta la vista, baby. For me, my biggest rewards have been seeing the South Dunedin network grow from strength to strength. The Dunedin Tunnels Trail project get across the line and seeing the grins on so many walkers, runners and cyclists and dogs as they enjoy improved access facilities at Signal Hill Recreation Reserve. I believe the work done on the play spaces plan across our communities was inspirational, and we are seeing the benefits of improved play spaces and play equity across all our communities. The half basketball courts are proving very popular and have shown the benefit of really, really good consultation across all the age groups, and also really, really good implementation of the plan. That is something that was really wonderful to see, and is very wonderful to see. Now I've lost my place. My printer wasn't working, so I have to look at my phone. For me, there is also unfinished business, things I would have loved to contribute to over the next term. So given now is my big opportunity, I'm going to speak about a couple of things now and lay a challenge to this group. The first one is, culture eats strategy for breakfast. As a new group of councillors, it is important over the next couple of weeks you talk about the kind of culture you want to create on this council. What you want to aspire to. A good culture is not a magic something that happens. It is something that has to be consciously thought about, discussed and agreed upon and committed to as a group. A culture of showing respect and kindness to all your colleagues creates a climate of open and honest debate for a wide range of views without fear of recrimination, which in turn contributes to good decision making. My question to you is this: what culture does this council want to aspire to? There are many changes, second point, there are many changes and challenges and aspirational ideas ahead in local government. RMA reform, local government reform, Three Waters reform are just a few. As a council, it is important to give the community the opportunity to engage on all of these things, large and small. Good communication and consultation with the opportunity for genuine engagement and feedback, is important for our community to feel heard. Inclusive participatory democracy and the opportunity for co-creation is espoused by our Mayor Jules Raddick. My question is, and my challenge is, how will you as a council do this? Last but not least, partnership. The key to achieving aspirational goals is to work in partnerships across the city, the first and foremost being our partnership, our treaty partnership with Ngāi Tahu. It is only in partnership with across the city, with our community boards, with the regional council, across the region and with central government, that we will be able to achieve our goals. The resources available when we work together are huge, and examples being the investment of Ngāi Tahu in the ACC building, the very successful partnerships with the Startup Ecosystem and Code, and the newly minted Partnership for Events. These partnerships mean we can do great things. There is so much potential out there for investment and co-investment, and having aspirational visions will enable Dunedin to achieve remarkable things for this city. Dunedin topped the country in the latest Residents' Opinion Survey, with 85% of us saying it was a great place to live, work and play. So congratulations, Dunedin, you're a great place to live, work and play. And I wholeheartedly agree. With the hospital and Kiwi Rail rebuilds and growing startup gaming and tech opportunities, you need to make the best of the opportunity ahead and make sure the council provides for this growing city. You also need to take on, head-on, the challenges of climate change and the challenges that come with that. And in particular, dear to my heart is this council looking after South Dunedin. So I just want to thank everyone here for what they've given to me. Sometimes it's been challenges and sometimes it's been support. And all the time it's about challenging me to think through the issues that this city is facing today and try and work together to come up with great solutions to those issues and challenges ahead. So I particularly want to thank the governance support officers. I think we've got a wonderful group of women that have supported me all the way through, and you will find them invaluable, especially as new councillors. Do go and ask them questions, and they're just wonderful. And the staff, they've just been marvellous. So you have a good group of staff who will support and follow through with the policies and strategies that you want to carry on with. So I want to wish you the best, and I just lay those challenges to you because I think we're in a great place now and we need to carry on.
Thank you, Rachel. I now move that the Council records its sincere thanks to Rachel Elder for the loyal and conscientious service she has given to the Dunedin community as a member of the Dunedin City Council for 6 years during the period 2016 to 2022. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Wiley. I have a couple of words I would like to say. Dear Rachel, we will miss you so much. You've always been a consistent voice for South Dunedin cycle tracks and walking tracks, but there is much, much more to Rachel than that. In these days of influencers, Rachel has been a highly effective influencer in our city, starting with values. Rachel has always been a strong voice for values-based thinking, writing, decisions and action. And her advocacy for inclusive participation in our democracy strongly influenced my decision to have 7 committees so that there would be a role for everyone in council. Her advocacy for an away day so that the councillors could come to understand each other better influenced the decision to do that this triennium. And her advocacy for a great many initiatives influenced their execution throughout her past 3 years of working with me together in council, but also the years before that. And I point to what is arguably the greatest of these, the Tunnels Trail project. And as Rachel has pointed out, that is now across the line. It is now budgeted in our 10-year plan at over $20 million. And it will be a very significant asset to Dunedin. So thank you, Rachel, for all you have done. And to repeat, we will miss you. Ngā mihi. I'd now like to open the floor to any colleagues who would like to speak, starting with Councillor Wiley.
Rachel, your 6 years on council, you gave it 110%. You left nothing on the table that wasn't said. You made your mark, and I think that's what any councillor wants to do at the end of their term, and you achieved that. Personally, I haven't seen in my 9 years on council anyone more community focused and engaged and passionate about the people. You wore their heart on their sleeve and you presented that strongly and advocated for them. A lot of what's happened in the South Dunedin community wouldn't have happened without your support and your advocacy. You're a true champion for them, and I hope the community network in South Dunedin remembers that. You also spoke up about social housing, and you did a lot of work behind the scenes in that space. Unfortunately, it wasn't recognised as well as it should have been, but you're a champion as you work through that. And I think this term we may see some of that come to fruition. As Mayor Radich has said, you are the biggest bike advocate, and you achieved in getting some groups better voices at the table and actually money to get stuff done. And I know some of those groups will miss you. The other thing that a lot of people don't realise is when councillors come and become councillors, it's not what we do in this building or around this table. It's what you go and do in the community. And when I look at the work that Rachel did outside of council, it was tremendous. And thank you for that. You chaired a lot of groups. You're always at meetings. You're always being seen. And I hope all councillors in this term, and I mean all councillors in this term, actually step up and engage in that way as well, because we've got a big space to fill with what Rachel did. Rachel, enjoy your time with Russell. I think Russell enjoyed having you going off to council at times. But enjoy your time with Russell, your children, and the pleasure of being a grandmother brings to you. And yes, we do expect to hear from you at our future meetings, but thank you.
Councillor Hulan.
Thank you. I will miss you, Rachel. I have loved working with you. And there's been numerous times where we've had a meeting and something has come up and we've rang each other after the meeting and had a chat. And you've been a brilliant sounding board for me. And I've really appreciated your, you being on council and being able to talk to you and absolutely what the Mayor and Councillor Wiley have both said is correct, is that you only see us around the table, but so much of the work you do is behind the scenes, and you've done so much for many of the communities in our city, and particularly cycling, of course. And so thank you very much. I'm going to miss you.
Councillor Deputy Mayor Barker.
Thank you, Rachel. When I first came on council, you were so welcoming and so supportive and taught me so much, and I really appreciate that, and we'll do that for our new councillors as well. You've been such an amazing advocate for cycling. I think everyone's mentioned cycling, funnily enough, for outdoor activities and for start-up businesses. And I know the work you did with Cafe Logic, with Ocho, with the start-up community has been amazing, and I know they've really appreciated that. You've conducted yourself as a councillor as something to aspire to in such a committed way, and they call me councillor strategy, and I think they'll call you councillor consultation. Your advocacy, especially as people have mentioned for South Dunedin and the effect on that community for housing. I had such a list here. There's and all of the work that you've done behind the scenes in such a gracious and committed way. You work with chairing the disability group, etc. And it's been such a pleasure to have you as a colleague. And I'll miss you, but I'm sure I'm going to see you around the table on the other side. You will.
Councillor Gary.
Thank you. Rachel, much has been said already that I had noted to say, but I did want to cover off the Grants Subcommittee because we've served on that together for 6 years, haven't we? And that is a lot of work, and you were extremely conscientious in that regard, and it always had that community focus. So I thank you for that work, which really did focus on community, as has been mentioned. And it was always good to know you were there with the disability sector, chairing that and bringing that perspective to the table. We always knew if there was anything biking or mountain biking, you would always speak up and remind us, which was wonderful. And it will be good to see you again. I'm really glad to hear that we will. I encouraged you to come back. And I thank you for your kind-heartedness. That's the thing I will always remember about you around the table and around council. So thank you for your service.
Councillor O'Malley.
Thank you, Worship. Rachel, you and I came on the council at the same time, and we developed a very special friendship and relationship right from the start. You are one of the nicest people I've ever met. Yeah. And I think that will be, if anybody was to say, what do they remember of Rachel, it will be that you are a safe person to be around. You will always look after those around you, and you're always ready to catch those who are falling. I want to acknowledge Russell, because everybody's got to have another half. And I remember going to, I think it was your wedding anniversary, when you described him as the thing that keeps you from floating away, or something to that extent, the man who grounds you. I won't refer to your favourite topic in the normal mood. I'll just call it active transport. Yes, it was clearly one of your things that you made a name for yourself, but I wouldn't want to diminish your contribution to the council just to the things that you became well known for. Your advocacy of community input into the council, I think, has actually changed policy. I do think you've had a significant impact on the way this council runs. And it is the nature of local body politics sometimes that results come out of the election that are hard to take. And it's been a hard one for me to take, not having you back here for a third time. I wish you well, and I remind you that in public forum we can only ask questions.
Councillor Fisa.
Tēnā koe, Mr. Mayor. Tēnā koe, Mrs. Elder. I just want to echo Councillor O'Malley's sentiments, especially about your kindness and your upbeat positivity. And I just want to acknowledge the challenges that we had for each other. Particularly, you were so passionate about jobs and tourism. And, we had some argy-bargies about my priorities being I didn't care about tourism so much as the people who are suffering at the end of the economic, whatever you call it. And I just want to acknowledge your listening and your heart for the people. And I'm going to be welcoming you to a public forum, especially for the annual plan and the long-term plan, and be having cups of coffee with you, especially in terms of advocating for and representing the people who do not vote. That is less than 50% of people voted in the elections, and it's our job, you from that side and us from this side, encouraging people to feel hope and have a stake. And I too want to acknowledge Russell. You've been a stalwart, Russell, and you've lost so much weight delivering all those little cards with Rachel the Riveter, all over Dunedin. So I don't know what you're going to do. Maybe she might run again, and you'll be losing another 4 kgs doing that mahi. So kia kaha, and thank you to that support. Kia ora.
Thank you. Councillor Walker.
I'll be very brief, and I will mention cycling. As the other mad cyclists around this table, I'm a bit annoyed that you're leaving us, because you're sort of leaving me to cycle that particular path on my own, although you'll be chuffed to hear that Councillor Gilbert is on a promise to get back on his bike. So I may have a partner in crime. I just really want to say, Rachel, I think Councillor Malley hit the nail on the head. You're just a bloody kind person.
Yeah.
And you will be missed. Yeah. Go well.
Councillor Mayhem.
Rachel, I'd just like to thank and acknowledge your support of me personally, your encouragement, your mentoring, those cups of coffee, your wise words, and particularly your positivity. Yes, we can. I love your attitude and your huge heart. Dunedin has lost a very amazing councillor, and I'm very sad not to be sharing this triennium with you, but we'll be in touch. Thank you.
Okay, so I will now put the motion. I don't intend to exercise my right of reply. So, all those in favour, say aye. Aye. And any against? Carried. So we're now... I would now like to present a certificate of service to Rachel. Thank you. So now we move on to item 6 on the agenda, which is on page 9, if you have it in front of you, which is the acknowledgement of retiring community board members. And this is an opportunity to record our thanks to the retiring community board members, Martin Dillon and Jacqueline Ruston. So I move the council records its sincere thanks to the following retiring community board members for their loyal and conscientious service given to the Dunedin community. The Mosgiel Taieri Community Board, Martin Dillon, from 1997 to 2022, and the West Harbour Community Board for Jacqueline Ruston from 2019 to 2022. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Barker. Would anyone like to speak to that resolution? Councillor Walker.
Yeah, thank you. Just again, very briefly, just as the previous council representative on the West Harbour Community Board, I'd just like to personally give thanks for the hard work and advocacy shown by Jackie Ruston, and wish her well in all her future endeavours. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone? Any other comments? No. So I will now put the motion. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion carried. We're now on to item 7, chairs and committee structure for the 2022 to 25 triennium, which is page 10 on your agenda, if you have one there in front of you. So I've exercised my delegation under section 41A, part 3, part A, to appoint the Deputy Mayor and to establish committees of the Territorial Authority and to appoint the chairperson of each committee. I move the resolutions as outlined in the order paper, and I'll take the resolutions in part when it comes to vote. So I'll do those in parts. Do I have a seconder? Deputy Mayor Barker, thank you. Would anyone like, I'll have a few words to say about this. So, as I previously mentioned, I've rearranged the committees somewhat and reformed them so that they align with the staff, the executive leadership team on staff. So now each member of the executive leadership team will have a council committee associated with it, with a chair and a deputy chair. And the reason for that is to enhance communication between the elected representatives of the people of Dunedin and the staff of the Dunedin City Council. That will similarly encourage accountability in both directions, but also communication in both directions. The idea is that the actual roles that are performed within council are more in line with the names of the committees. So instead of being project-based or topic-based, they are in line with workflows within council. So the idea is to have a more logical, I suppose, train of accountability and communication in line with the chain of command within council. So it's reasonably straightforward. The various chairs and committees are noted there. So would anyone else like to speak to the motion? Councillor Benson-Pope.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have a few general contextual comments before I come to the structure that you're moving, if you'd indulge me. I think we'd all agree it's an exciting time to be at this table in a city that's just, as a couple of people have already referred, just topped the rankings for the best place to live. And the economic activity that's happening in the city is certainly hard to miss. Projects big and small, public and private, and our own wonderful, I think, work, quite visionary work in the central city. But the present and the future are not without challenges, both social and environmental. Not least of all, the carbon goals that have been alluded to earlier, which are going to be a major challenge for us to meet. And that's a challenge that we all as councillors, I believe, face in the context of considerable denial and irrationality in the community, some of that being demonstrated by the protests last week. So those challenges are real, but they're also not going to be without difficulty to achieve. Do you know that it's 20 years since we had a tractor driving up the steps of Parliament? And in that time, virtually nothing has been achieved by the whole community in achieving meaningful emission reductions in our community. Sure, this is primarily a New Zealand-wide issue, but it's an issue nonetheless for people in this city. So I'd like to wish everyone well in meeting the challenges that these committees will have to address and meeting the targets the council has already set for itself. I'm looking forward to a council that bases its decisions on expert advice and also demonstrable fact. And I'll be interested to see how 7 committees are needed to do what 4 historically have done quite nicely. Thank you very much. But I guess the jury's out on that, but as is always the case, time will tell. In any case, I hope we'll all work to sustain the positive position that we've inherited and meet the responsibilities of the oath that we've just taken. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more speakers? Councillor Walker.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And a relatively similar vein, I imagine this will probably be approved today. And as Councillor Benson-Pope says, only time will tell if that, the restructure was a wise decision. The previous structure, of course, was a tried and trusted format, so it is a format that's brought the city to the position it's in now. And as I stated earlier, Dunedin is thriving, it's growing, it's maturing, and its relationship with Manawhenua is in a great place. We are in a wonderful position, so let's hope that this, I guess, healthy apple cart is not destabilised by this new structure. I really hope it's not. And I certainly do personally congratulate all those people who have been given a position. chairing a committee, and I seriously wish you well. And as again Councillor Benson Pope has said, I hope decisions that you bring to us are based on good data, good evidence, and solid expert advice. I think that's wise, and I think we should all be charged with making sure that is the case. So yeah, that's pretty much reiterate what you say, Councillor Benson Pope, and I do seriously wish you all well. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more speakers? No. So I'll now put the motion for A, B, C and F, and I'll read the recommendations just for the benefit of the wider audience that probably don't have a copy of the agenda in front of them. And that is that the Council notes the appointment of Councillor Sophie Barker as Deputy Mayor, that Council notes the new committees in Attachment A on this report, and notes which have been reported in the ODT, and notes the appointment of the chairs, deputy chairs and various councillor appointments to those committees, subcommittees and community boards. So that's A, B and C, and then there's F, which notes the updated committee structure and delegations manual will be presented to the January 2023 Council meeting for adoption, as there are some changes to be made. So do we have a seconder? So I'll now put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Anyone against? No. Okay, so the parts D and E are possibly not unanimous. So they are, part D is that Council invites Runaka to identify 2 representatives from Kati Hurapa ki Pukatarau Runaka and Otako Runaka, 1 from each Runaka, to be the representative members on the Infrastructure Services Committee. And Part E invites Runaka to identify 2 representatives from Kati Hurapa ki Pukataraki Runaka and Otako Runaka, 1 from each Runaka, to be the representative members on the Strategy and Engagement Committee. So I'll now do it. So a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Wiley. So I'll now, does anyone want to speak to this motion? Division, please. Yes, so we have called for division. Thank you. So I will now, rather than calling, so for the benefit of the audience, rather than calling for ayes and nays, we'll have a division. So the Governance Service Officer will call people alphabetically, call for all councillors alphabetically to register their vote.
Councillor Ackland. Aye. Councillor Barker.
Aye.
Councillor Benson Pope.
Aye.
Councillor Gary.
Aye.
Councillor Gilbert.
Aye.
Councillor Houlihan.
Aye.
Councillor Lafiso.
Aye.
Councillor Lucas.
Aye.
Councillor Mayhem.
Aye.
Councillor O'Malley.
Aye.
Councillor Vandervis.
No.
Councillor Walker.
Aye.
Councillor Wetherall.
Aye.
Councillor Wiley.
Yes.
Mr Mayor.
Yes.
Carried 14-1.
Thank you. We now move to the next item on the agenda, which is the appointment of the acting Deputy Mayor, which is a useful thing if both the Mayor and Deputy Mayor are out of action. So I'll move, this is on page 17 of your agenda if you have one, so I'll move that the Council appoints Councillor Andrew Wiley as acting Deputy Mayor for any joint absences of the Mayor and Deputy Mayor during this triennium. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Mayhew, thank you. Would anyone like to speak to this resolution? No. Thank you. I'll now put the motion. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? No. Thank you. Motion is carried. We now move on to the next item. This is the elected member remuneration for 2022-23. The Chief Executive is available to answer any questions. Are there any questions about this? No, thank you. So I intend to move the recommendations as per the order paper. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Barker. And so I'll speak to this because this has been established, so under the committee structure, the new structure of 7 committees, so that every councillor has a committee chair and deputy chair. And with each of these roles, Chair and Deputy Chair, there's quite an additional workload to investigate and research the activity of the various workflows through Council so that Council has good communication and accountability back to the elected representatives of the city. So the Chair in particular, and less so but still quite markedly so, the Deputy Chair is expected to carry out quite a role in being fully appraised of the affairs of each strand of workflow within Council, and I can certainly speak from my own experience. As Deputy Chair of Infrastructure, I thank Councillor Malley, and he has kindly agreed to remain as Chair of the Infrastructure Committee, but I myself and Councillor Malley had a lot of interaction over the last 3 years in terms of the working of the Infrastructure Committee, but the workings of the Infrastructure Department. And that made me very much more well aware of the activities of that department and the various subcategories within that department around the city. So that has been very helpful in terms of my knowledge of what is going on around the town and being able to answer questions that constituents have posed to me over the last 3 years. And so that is my hope, that these committees provide actually a consistent line of liaison from the workings of Council through the workings of the staff of Council through the councillors, the elected representatives, and back out to the public of Dunedin. Because one of the things I've certainly noticed over the last 3 years, we do get a lot of questions. We have a lot of people that are interested in the goings-on at Council, what is happening, and the more informed that councillors are in being able to answer those questions, and the deeper that they can go as far as the understanding goes, I think the better off we'll be. So, does anyone else wish to speak to this report? Councillor Fiso.
Thank you, tēnā koe, Mr Mayor. I would like to move an amendment to the motion.
So, is this I presume that's the amendment?
Yes.
That
I can read it out.
Yes.
That the Council A approves annual remuneration of $109,619 for the Deputy Mayor. B approves annual remuneration of $88,382 for chairs of standing committees. C approves annual remuneration of $78,845 for councillors. D notes the rules for recovery of expenses. E notes the proposed remuneration levels and rules for the recovery of expenses will be forwarded to the Remuneration Authority for approval.
Right. Do you wish to speak further to the amendment, Councillor Visser?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Gary.
Thank you. As previous speakers for previous items have said, I do very much, with the deepest respect, pay tribute to your wish to restructure the standing committees. However, in the interests, for my perspective, in terms of values-based decisions, and for equity and inclusion, and a message of hope going forward for this triennium, I have moved this. I submit this motion so that we are clear that we are on about inclusion and equity and natural justice for our communities. And I believe I am advocating this motion so that we can, as councillors, as elected members, we must start, if we are truly intent on delivering to our communities, we must treat each other with respect and equity. That's why I have proposed this motion this way. Kia ora.
Thank you. Do we have any other speakers? Councillor Gary.
Thank you, Your Worship, and I concur with Councillor Lafiso, and I know very dear to your heart, Mr Mayor, is inclusion. That's been one of the things that you have noted, and the desire to build a team, and I believe this amendment goes some way towards doing that.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers? Councillor Wiley.
I won't be supporting this motion, this amended motion. I believe actually your engagement with all councillors after the election was actually very refreshing and forthcoming. You gave everybody an opportunity to engage and spell out their wishes for the triennium. 2 councillors chose not to pick up that engagement and be part of the roles and responsibilities. And I actually find that disappointing. It is about equity and inclusion. And I've been on the losing side of many elections and have taken that loss and moved on to be part of the team. And I find it disappointing that 2 councillors chose not to pick up the roles they were offered and they were engaged with. But more importantly, there's 2 other councillors around this table that are going to have to lift that load. And I'm one of them. Am I going to get any extra bonus for doing that? No. This is a team about 15 people for the best of the city. And right now, I'm really sad that 2 of them have chosen not to be part of that team and fully engaged. I welcome them to be fully engaged and stepping up. So let's step up, let's get on board, and let's get the city rolling like it should be. But it will take all 15 of us. And those 2 have chosen not to take up the option that the Mayor put in front of them. The 7 committees that have been established, I think, are going to be very powerful and strong and engaging for our people. And that's the key point for me. Thank you.
Any other speakers? Thank you. Very good. I'll now put the amended motion.
A division, please.
Division. And we'll put that by division, where councillors will have their votes recorded as they make them. So,
Councillor Ackland.
No.
Councillor Barker.
No.
Councillor Benson Pope.
Aye.
Councillor Gary.
Aye.
Councillor Gilbert.
No.
Councillor Houlihan.
No.
Councillor Lafiso.
Aye.
Councillor Lucas.
No.
Councillor Mayhem.
No.
Councillor O'Malley.
No.
Councillor Vandervis.
No.
Councillor Walker.
Aye.
Councillor Weatherall.
No.
Councillor Wiley.
No.
Mr Mayor.
no.
Motion lost 10-4.
Thank you.
It's 11.
Sorry, my apologies, 11-4.
11-4, yes. Thank you. As this motion has been lost, we'll go back to the original motion as shown in the report. Do any councillors wish to speak to this motion? No. Thank you. It's relatively straightforward, being the original proposal. So I'll now put the original motion. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
And those against?
No. Recorded, please.
Recorded, please.
So we have 2 recorded, is that right? 3. Thank you. All right. Now, I'll move on to item 10, the meeting schedule for the remainder of 2022. On page 28 of your agenda, I move that Council adopts the meeting schedule for the remainder of 2022 and notes the resolutions as per the order paper. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you to Councillor Mayhew. Would anyone like to speak to this resolution, please, as shown on page 28? No? I think it's very straightforward. So I'll now put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. Item 11, local government legislation. This is a briefing for the inaugural council meeting, page 30 of your papers. The report is from the CEO. Would you like to speak to the report, Mrs. Graham?
No, but I'm happy to take questions, Mr Mayor.
Are there any questions for the CEO? No, I see none. So, I move that the council notes the advice regarding key legislation that applies to members of council, its committees and community boards. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Barker. Would anyone like to speak to the motion? No? I will now put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against? Motion carried. I now invite mana whenua to close the meeting and welcome you all to the afternoon tea that will be served in the foyer following the closing of this meeting. We are now done.
Thank you, Worship the Mayor. I'll just close the meeting. Similarly, as we open the tone, ki tātou katoa. Ka te whāra tō tātou āriki, a ku kreiti, te hauhau te atu, me te whiwhinga pahitanga, i te waiawa tapu, ake. I might bless the kai while I'm standing.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Whakapainga in a kai hei oranga o mātou tēnana, kai mana he mātou wairua te taro o mātou ora.
Kia ora tātou.
Thank you.